Was a long and dark December. From the rooftops I remember there was snow.
The Vietnam War was a military conflict fought between North Vietnam and its allies against South Vietnam in an effort to reunify the country under a communist rule. Through its containment strategy, the U.S. became involved in hopes to prevent the spread of communism abroad. However, the dramatic increase in both military and civilian fatalities, as well as questions regarding U.S. intervention, made this war a catalyst for protest. In Rhetorical Situations and Their Constituents, Grant Davey tells us that exigence may have been created by events that precede the discourse and act as a catalyst for it, and the timing of the discourse may have also been triggered by an occasion. Much of the I Want Out poster's success is linked to this image. Regarded as one of the most iconic prints in history, the I Want You poster was originally developed as a recruitment tactic for both world wars. The print depicts Uncle Sam, a patriotic personification of the U.S., in an authoritative pointing gesture, summoning whoever is viewing the image to enlist in the war. Grant Davey also explains to us that the writer's sense of exigence can become a positive constraint, a factor that helps move the audience towards the writer's position. The I Want Out poster, a reversal of the original, was published by the Committee to Unsell the War, a campaign specifically developed to protest the U.S. military's involvement in Vietnam. The writers, in this case the committee, felt propaganda and the media had essentially sold the war to the American public. Through their own measures, and after so much controversy surrounding the United States' alleged imperialistic motives, they figured this war could also be unsold by showing the realities of combat through print ads as well as through radio and television. In Backpacks versus Briefcases, Laura Bolin Carroll highlights the importance of audience responsiveness by telling us the following. The audience should be able to respond to the exigence. They should be able to address the problem. The audience that a text or image targets becomes a determinant for the language used, the medium or delivery of the rhetoric, and even the color choice. Media portrayal of the violence surrounding Vietnam had been toned down or omitted entirely prior to the protests. But when new photographs of both American and Vietnamese casualties emerged, the public began to question if the United States was truly fighting a war to liberate the southern Vietnamese from a communist government. Footage of what took place on the battlegrounds, which we will see soon, was being brought into nearly every American home through television, and these graphic images stripped away the glory of war, thus making the target audience all the more susceptible to this print. The U.S. displayed no signs of victory. Critics found the war immoral and believed the conflict in Vietnam was a civil one that the American military force had no right to intervene in. Presenting Uncle Sam as a wounded soldier in what seems to be a pleading gesture for help stimulates an appeal to our emotions, or pathos. The worn-out uniform, along with the white head wrap seeping with blood, probably as a result of battle injuries, evokes an immediate emotional response. The same man who was initially asking others to join the war is now wounded and begging to be discharged. Opposition to the war continued to grow as the death toll increased and more than 40,000 men were being called into service under the draft system. The exigence that preceded the I Want Out poster was not only able to gather support from its target audience, the American civilians, but from soldiers as well.
Silver Star, the third highest medal in the country. It doesn't mean anything. Bob Sneal died for these medals. Lieutenant Pomerol died so I got a medal. Sergeant John died so I got a medal. I got a Silver Star, Purple Heart, Army Commendation Medal, 8 air medals, National Defense, and the rest of this garbage. It doesn't mean a thing.
The message conveyed by this poster was no longer just an image or an idea, it was reality. Soldiers such as the one that we have just seen embodied the agony and despair represented in the image before us. The emotional appeal was undoubtedly heightened as Americans were beginning to see young men being forced to fight a war that they didn't believe in. The soldier mentions receiving several prestigious awards in recognition for his war efforts, yet he exclaims that they lack any real importance as they are only awarded at the expense of the lives of others. The motivation for this discourse is evident. The Vietnam conflict was and continues to be the war with the most vocal opposition and activism surrounding it. This image was about reminding the public of their power to challenge the American government if they stood together as one. The print was desperately needed because soldiers abroad needed a voice, and more importantly, they needed support. Inverting the influential Uncle Sam poster from a commanding and assertive recruiter to a weak and wounded combatant does an excellent job at helping this particular text accomplish its goals. The public's familiarity with the original image, the historical context, and the artistic appeals of the new image help us discover the extent to which the world is not chaotic but ordered. A series of events had to occur in order for this brilliant image to have the effect it does on its viewers.